And
All the way.
all right. I mean, Tess, mic is all yours. I would like you to, walk us through with your overall experience. Like, how did you got started? Right from the very starting of your journey, of your career. You can go with it.
Okay, so I actually started with property management with family. It's a
Wow.
family business. We have so it actually started just with one rental space. That was my mom's. So
In
she went
Morocco.
from yes, in Morocco.
Perfect.
So she went from renting one apartment to renting two and eventually to three, and then she kind of expanded. And then
Right.
my father joined in when he established this residential area that's in a different city, but still in the eastern
Right.
side of Morocco. So for that residential area, I believe it has around 25 properties that are still his, still under his name. He hasn't really
Great.
sold them. So instead, what we do is we rent them, but they're not really vacation rentals.
Right.
They're more of we try to rent them on a year-long basis. But
Long-term
then up in
rentals. I understand.
yes, but then when summertime is here and we can no longer rent to students, that's when my work begins. It's a little before hot season, so I need to make sure that
Right.
I'm still warming up. I'm still doing enough marketing. I'm getting enough people to the city.
Right.
Sometimes, so for example, and I'll give you like the distinction here. My mom rental areas, they're actually in a touristic city. So we're
Right.
good to go. Even though I still have to do marketing, I still have to manage social media, I still have to manage Airbnb and Booking.com. Make sure we're kind of beating the prices there. I'm constantly staying updated.
Right.
It's not as much work as what I do for the area that's not actually touristic. So for that one, I kind of have to add sometimes bed and
Right.
breakfast. We're gonna add a guide for so you can see the city around, and then
Right.
we can give some. So we also make
That's
sure to give,
understandable.
so we also make sure to give suitable prices. Just so let's say for example, someone wants to go to the city nearby, go to the beach, and so on.
Right.
That they're still able to travel. They're still able to budget well while staying in a completely different area. So this is how my journey started. However, just to give you an idea, I actually started out in sales and it wasn't with the family business. There was no
Right.
way they would trust me with it. The way it started is I was still 17 years old. I went to the university. I thought, okay, you know what? I need to sustain myself throughout my university studies. I'm not
Right.
taking my so I start working in sales, and first 3 months, I'm beating a record. They hear about it. They're like, okay, you know what? Why don't you come work for us instead? You
Wow.
need to. And I'm like, okay, what do you want me to take care of? They say customer success. That's it. We don't need you to do anything else. So as I'm managing the customers, I realize I have to manage other things. When it comes to
Right.
real estate, I can't manage customers and not be on top of everything else. I need to be on top of the cleaning services. I need to be on top of complaints on Airbnb. I need to make sure that the satisfaction is high. And if that's
Right.
going to be my job, then I need to take care of every other process. So I kind of got integrated or kind of turned myself into their own property manager. Then after a while, I started managing actually the area. So basically, the area in the touristic city I told you about, just
Right.
the street. It's not the entire city, it's just the street where my mom lives. Everyone else. So
Kind of
Airbnb
knew
is not.
you and
Yeah. So my work is done. Okay, all good. But I just need to make sure there is no conflict of interest there. I need to make sure. Okay, you know what? I'm kind of still managing my family's business while managing everyone
right.
else's. So that's one thing. And I eventually moved into doing property management for the European region as well. So that was with Idzich Sarl. I did take care of Airbnb and Booking.com, but I'll be very frank, they didn't use Guesty. They didn't use any type of booking platforms or any type of platforms that would make my process easier. We
Right.
used Google Sheets, we used Excel.
I mean,
Um,
the father of all PMS.
So we used Google Workspace.
Right.
We actually would chat there. We
Yeah.
eventually moved to Slack, but it was still, it was still not as organized as I can see your process is. And
Right,
for that one, it's a lot more aligned with the type of tasks that you mentioned. So I actually, my title was property manager. It was not, honestly, it was not VA. It was mainly, I had to handle all of the properties in Netherlands. There was also Canada. And then
and
there was and then there was Germany, and eventually we moved to France. But that's because I was able to speak French, so they were like, okay, you know what, let's put the use.
so you know French as well. That's good. That's interesting.
So for those ones, I would handle guest communications. I would handle the satisfaction scores, make sure that I'm also handling any incoming complaints, which was one of the biggest parts of my job. I mean, everything was focused on the customer satisfaction. Then I would handle the coordination with the other teams, for example, when it comes to cleaning, when it comes to documentation, when it comes to everything, literally everything I had to manage. And there were other teams under me. So for that one, it was completely remote. I didn't have to be anywhere. I didn't have to go,
Right.
like for the business, sometimes I have to go. But with that one, it was completely remote because there was actually a team helping out with the physical part of, okay, I need to be there. I need to get that part of the job done. So
Exactly.
yeah, that's kind of the summary.
That's I mean, see, the one thing that I like about people is that when they elaborate their experience and while they elaborate it, like they walk us through their journey, I think me answering a lot of questions about my way and then you answering it is a different way to understand your capabilities, your skills, and then you walking us through your journey with all the natural passion that you get to see from the person, how intensely he or she was, within that particular job or like, the overall work experience, and you get to see a different personality altogether. And interestingly, my first question was like, I'm sure whenever you used to bring in a new tenant or like, let's say an applicant, right, to walk them through the property, was it used to be like over the phone or do you used to use any kind of, platform where they could have scheduled it like, automatically? Like we used to use something called Tenant Turno as an application that's like quite famous in the US, where the applicant, send us their social security number, they pay a certain amount of money, like a deposit for the walkthrough, and then that is how automatically everything used to happen, and I used to manage for my clients. So do you
Got
used
you.
to, right,
No, so we actually didn't really use anything other than, okay, I'm sending you the pictures online. You're going to be checking
right,
everything out. We tried the only place where we tried to actually integrate 3D virtual tours, but eventually I actually left before we were able to. So for
right,
that one, that was just sorry, that was the European company, but I'm not doing it
right,
actually with the family business. With the family business, I mainly handle vacation rentals, or I would
mm,
have to be there physically if I'm handling like
right.
long-term rentals. Yeah.
Interesting, and something is very similar, and that I kind of, was listening to you carefully because I started my career like at the age of 17. I just
Okay.
finished I mean, I didn't even finish. You can say that I gave my final exams and we were waiting for the results to come in. And then I just got started because we actually have a gap of like 3 months after giving our final exams to the
Yeah.
results coming out. And I was like, let's get started. And I started working as a VA for Airbnb, like vacation rentals.
Okay.
So I was interviewed by one of the clients in Florida and I got selected. So I was told that I'm getting hired for like STR business. But the moment I joined in, so I was like, fine, there are like only 10 properties to manage on Airbnb, verbobooking.com. But then my client says that I'm also going to be managing the property management business of theirs, wherein they have their own properties, like 30 different properties in Jacksonville, and then 30 different properties they manage for the other,
Yeah.
like homeowners. And it was a complete like mess, I would say, for me initially, and I was like, how am I going to manage? Why was I not told about it? But thank God that they used to use. So this is where I think the PMS thing that we talk about, like property management software. So they used to use a very well-known property management software called Buildium, which is in
Oh
the
yeah,
US and have been around for like 25 years. And it is a great application, I would say, a property management software with great customer support. So my clients did not had any time, like, to train me on those tools. All I had
yeah.
was like 30 to 30,000 like small micro articles for each topic that I used to go through that wherever I used to feel stuck. And then they had like three extensions away. They have this, some customers, dedicated customer support. And I used to always be for the initial 6 months, I used to be, with these customer support for hours learning the tools. And they used to help me. So this is how I got started. So right from, learning the managing the guest communication with, communicating with the cleaners, vendors, and then, being prompt overall, making sure that the guest is having a wonderful stay, to making sure, reaching out to the tenants on the monthly, the first of the month, to creating a 3-day notice if the rent has been delayed, to getting the eviction notice if it has crossed like it's 15 days, to evicting the tenant and then listing the property on multiple platforms like Zillow, Tenant Turner, and everything, and then getting the new tenants, to preparing the leases, and then finally getting the security deposit, and then
So
so
that was all by yourself. No,
all
no
by
team
yours.
helping.
No
Okay.
team helpers. So I was the only dedicated VA, and I have worked there with like 2 3 years during the organization that I worked for, and then I got promoted to manage the number of VAs with my experience.
Yeah.
I still have that client working for that organization with one of the VA that I personally trained under me, and the client still exists. Though I am not working in that organization now, we have our own organization, working all together. But it has been a tremendous journey, I would say, and. I see that you are very passionate towards this thing, and I think this is what the kind of a people we look for in our organization. And just to let you brief about everything, is that we as an organization are not only, though we are specialized and we started providing our services to the vacation rental, because this is where I got started my journey with, and as a
Yeah.
niche specific, before I put my hands onto any other niche or any other industry, we are, wanting to stick with the industry that we are person like, perfect or expertised in. But along with that, because I've worked as a VA right from the very beginning, like I've started my career since 2019 till date. And so what I understand is that VA has always been a backbone of every business, right? But we are the ones who always gets unrecognized. Like
Yeah.
we do not get recognized for the work that we do. And we and the other founders always had this emotion towards it, and then I always used to talk about like we will create a platform. No, so apart from an agency, we also want to give all the VAs across the globe an opportunity to share their emotion. I mean, overall, that experience or anything as a feedback that, they can say that we can bring this certain improvement within this
Yeah.
industry. And we take that feedback personally to implement those within our teams, in our organization, in the culture, right? So any VA, any part of the country, we take it our own family, because we all VAs are like, of the same community. So my question would be like, what you have to say working as a VA for your family business and all for the other organizations that you have worked for, that one thing that you feel like if you have an agency of yours, or let's say you
Okay.
are managing a group of team, you would make sure that this never happens, the kind of a thing that you had gone through. I'm sure you had gone with lots of tough
Uh,
time.
I think the main one I would say, I wouldn't say I'll make sure it never happens because I don't think I would have a way of making sure it never happens, but I'll try to reduce it as much as possible. So, one that I noticed that was predominant, especially here in the last couple of years in Morocco, was
Right?
scams or customer scams. And the one that I
Right.
noticed happened well is not only like I started being okay with okay, you know what, I real estate management is a skill that goes unrecognized by a lot of
Right.
people, even people that you're working with. But the one point that I
Hmm.
feel like okay, you know what, this needs to at least be recognized is when you're managing an Airbnb, for example, especially with Airbnb.
Right.
um I feel like a lot of real estate owners are also getting more ranked than actually having their requests fulfilled. So
Right.
all of the time, here's what I do sometimes, by the way, to make sure that we're kind of avoiding scams is okay, every time right before a tenant comes in, I need to make sure that pictures are updated, pictures were taken, we have receipts of cleaning, we have receipts. I need to make sure we literally have everything. But then by
Right.
the time, let's say we receive any type of complaint, and that's just being used as a scam to get money back while staying
Right.
in that place for free. What I need to make sure of is I need to make sure the communication is proper. The customer is still somehow happy, even though they tried to scam us. But then
Right.
at the same, my
That's a good
customer is also
approach.
happy because then at the same time, my customer is happy because I need to make sure that they're not seeing any type of angry chats or you know what, upset chats or hey, you tried to
Right.
scam us. The way I do it is just like type of indirect communication where I'm really sorry for example, I'm really sorry you feel that this is not up to the standard. This is not really
Right.
expected. However, just to make it clear, we made sure to announce everything 100% accurately in the listing. We also have the pictures up there. I'm not sure what exactly happened or where you also got pictures from. Can you just elaborate a little bit on your issue?
Right.
By the way, I already chatted with customer support. They have the pre-existing pictures right before you went in, just so you can have an idea on what's going on. So this way, the customer is updated. You know, they're not being blindsided. They also know, okay, you know what, this person is talking to me respectfully. But then, like, I literally have, by the way, and this is going to
Hmm.
be ironic. I literally have a customer that was a repeat client
Right.
this year, and they tried to scam us last year. Uh,
What?
okay, so I know. This is probably my craziest story. The only reason, by the way, I felt like this that was happening is they felt
Okay.
like prices were higher than they were expecting just because okay, so they booked through Airbnb, they go
Right.
to the city and they get a lower price from somebody else, right?
Yeah.
They already booked. So immediately what they do is they try to scam us to get their money back. They send some pictures of unclean house, which were
Right.
not really, you know, it actually happened after they already stayed in the house for 2 days. Just that what they did is they opened the chat and they
Right.
kept replying and never sent what the customer support needed. Then by the time they responded, they've already stayed for 2 nights, and
Right.
customer support was like, okay, can you send us the pictures now? Which, by the way, for me makes zero sense. I feel like regulations need to be proper, and this is what I
Right.
would fix. It's simply the regulations there. Okay, if I think that even platforms need to be more strict when it comes to this.
Right.
Okay, as soon as you walk in a house, you know whether you're staying in there or not. You know whether that's the right place for it. Unless you were disrespected, which you can prove, then
Right.
there would be
That
a
makes
reason
more
for you.
sense.
So by the way, short answer is it would be the regulations is what I would update. It would be just the making sure that I'm not only protecting like the tenant's interests, but I'm also protecting my customers' interests, or I'm protecting the real estate owners' interests.
Right. Keeping
The,
that
the
in mind.
yeah, yeah. So that's what I would probably change. That's what I dislike the most. I feel like a lot, especially here in Morocco, a lot of landlords started feeling betrayed by Airbnb. By the way,
Right.
second thing would be the crazy, like the crazy percentages that platforms started taking. Especially Airbnb, it's not much for Booking.com. You know, for Airbnb, for example, customer goes to the landlord. They tell them, okay, you know what? I
Right.
actually, I actually paid 200 euros for this stay, and then the landlord is like, no, you didn't. My price,
Right.
what I listed, is a lot lower than that, and what I received is even lower. So that's another thing. So yeah, this would be it probably. The crazy interest rates now, as well as regulations, need to be a little bit more strict. Or at least if you're taking a crazy interest, make sure you are protecting your client's interests.
Exactly. Well, Tess, I mean, what I see here, you already answered my next question because I was just about to ask like one of the best escalation that you have ever handled, you ever managed, and I think you already did. I think that is, unless you have another one,
Yeah, let
better
me
than
think if that. I'm trying to
right,
think. Okay, best escalation. I mean, this one as a repeat customer, I'll be very frank. They
right,
weren't. So the moment they came back, they were like, okay, I'll be honest. I felt cheated on because they were upfront with us. The moment they came back, we're like, okay, you know what? We still have your contact. They didn't book through Airbnb. They just went directly, actually. Um,
Right,
so they called me. So they booked through me. They called me. They're like, we still have your contact. We want to make sure that we book this time. I was
right,
upfront. I was straightforward. I was like, okay, I'd be more than happy actually to
right,
find you the say that you want. I'll also be more than happy to assist you with everything you need. But last time we did not have the best experience, and you're asking
right,
me for the same apartment now, and I don't have availability on that exact day. So can you just clarify like, what you liked about it, what you disliked about it last time before we move any further? So they go to me and they're like, okay, frankly, last time we came, we had people approaching us and giving us half the price
right,
that you offered on the stay. So what we told them was simple. Okay, where was the area that they asked you to go to? The moment they told me about the area, I told them it was an unsafe area. I'd be more than happy to wait until they check. They ask someone who's actually a local there on whether the area is safe or not, or what exactly happens there before they come back to me. And I told them that, by the way, the price you were given is actually double the original price they have there. So
nice way of
I
handling
gave
it.
They came back. They did not try to haggle me on pricing, but I still don't think that was probably the best escalation I handled. The best escalation I probably handled was a couple. It was a married couple. The woman
Right,
wanted to stay, the man did not. So the main difference there is that the booking was done through her name, under her name. She asked me whether the beach was nearby or not. I made
right,
it clear that there was a 7-minute walk. He wanted a beachfront stay. So for that one, uh, the ironic part there is that the way I made sure to de-escalate the issue and kept the customer happy, is I
right,
just simply said, okay, you can happily get a place nearby the beach. I'll just let you know though, based on our regulation, it would be nearly impossible for me actually to get you the money back. Plus, you would have had to inform us beforehand. I'll try to get you a
right,
percentage. But one thing I can tell you is right here, you're literally in the city center. Here is literally what's close to you. Here's how much you can enjoy it. Here's what the weather is going to be like inside the house and outside of the house. Now, if you go there, here are the issues you might
your
encounter,
customer
although
support skills.
so that one eventually ended up being happy. By the way, he's also one of our repeat customers. So we do, by the way, get a lot of repeat customers. That's one thing I noticed.
And I think that is what
And
makes a business successful, like, having repeated customers,
yeah,
and yeah,
so
great.
by the way, it's not very ironic or very rare for me to find someone who may have been an unhappy customer first become a repeat customer. It's just the only rare occasion that I had was someone tried to scam us and be like, okay, I'm back.
Right. It's also like, kind of very ironic. I mean, they have been a repetitive customers, and then he's trying to scam you, but then again, God, they understood your loyalty towards them, your honesty towards them, and then, they came back. I mean, I think it's very rare, kind of a service that you have given. I mean, I'm really impressed. I mean, I've taken my learnings towards it. I think if that thing would have happened to me till date, after before listening to this story, I think I would have had my ego in between, or my grudge towards that customer, because if I'm servicing somebody, I do it with my like whole honesty, with full integrity. I at least expect some loyalty from you, and if I get betrayed in such a manner, obviously you don't bring emotions and ego into the business. I think
Yeah,
this is you had a great control over it. Sometimes I lose it, and I think it was a great learning for me personally, out of this experience.
thank
And
you.
I get to learn a lot of I actually learned a lot, out of you walking me through this experience. Anyways, I'll stop the recording here, because I think you have answered all my questions up to the mark, and I think it was very amazing. I'll just stop it here.